Alright, hello everyone. Looks like I am live and I am Heponwana. I am going to be playing through 1000 times Resist. Really cool game. It's very lore heavy. I'm going to be spoiling a lot of the story because, I mean, you're watching a speedrun, you kind of have the game spoiled anyways. So I'll explain what I'm doing as I go along. I just want to give a heads up. There are a few photo trigger type of instances that could come up. So flashing lights, a lot of bright colors. If that is something that might be a problem for you, please keep that in mind because I'm a huge fan of always keeping speedruns as friendly and accessible people as possible. So if you have photosensitivity triggers, just know those can happen. And we're going to go ahead and get things started real soon. First, I'm going to select new game. This does not start the timer yet, so don't worry about starting that timer. This is going to just wipe out all of my old saves because always start from the very beginning. So, game will begin. Time will begin as soon as we select start here. And the run is going to take about 2 hours and change, 220-ish, give or take, depending on how things go. Also, there is violence in this game, so if you are upset by images of people being stabbed or things like that, please do keep that in mind. Anyways, time will begin in 3, 2, 1, go. And so, we're going to start the game in Chapter Redacted. Chapter Redacted is pretty much... actually, it looks like I had some sort of issue come up. Game capture is frozen, so hold on 1 second. I am going to figure out what is going on here. Apologies for this. This is really weird. Hold on 1 second. I'm just going to do a quick and dirty way of getting this back. That is not right. Wow. Okay, I am going to try and exit out from my game real quick and see if that corrects it. I have never had this game not work correctly. So let's go ahead and see if this might... That is... Wow. Okay. Apologies for that. It now looks like things are working. My apologies on that. It's never a good speedrun without having a little bit of technical support hiccup. So, alright. It looks like everything is moving. When I move the cursor, it moves. So let's try this again. Apologies. We are going to go ahead. Luckily, we should still fall within estimate, and we are starting a little bit early, so all should be very good. So let's pretend that never happened. That is how I like to say it. You know, anytime there's a hiccup, never happened. So time is going to begin in 3, 2, 1, go. And now, everything should be working. So hopefully we're going to see things, and it looks like things are moving correctly on the stream. And so right here, we are going to start in Chapter Redacted. And we want to make sure we set up a skip right now, a very important early skip, we want to say 6 to 1. A lot of your dialogue choices in this game, you can say whatever you want, and it won't make much of a difference. Always remembering the dialogue choice you really want to use more than anything else is leave, or I don't want to talk, or I want to end this conversation. Because speedrunning, we want to be as quick as possible. But on the other hand, there is a very precise skip that happens. And to do this skip that happens in chapter 5, we need to say 6 to 1 at the beginning there. And then in chapter 5, we need to repeat that exact scene, but we're going to say a different specific line, and it's going to skip about 3 minutes of the game. So anyways, we are in chapter Redacted, and we here are going to play as several characters. The game is amazing cinematic experience. It's very, very heavy on story and lore. Right now, we are going through a weird moment that's hard to really explain what it is, because this is kind of a artistic setup type of thing right here. So we are playing as a character named Blue, not because she is dressed in blue, but for reasons that actually will go into the game later on. And she is talking this character Watcher, and we just want to put in inputs for both of them to skip dialogue as quick as possible. So right here, we are playing now as Watcher. Watcher is one of several clones. Another one is Knower. Watcher is blue, Knower is purple. We're also going to see Healer, who is pink, and all of their roles are pretty self-explanatory. Healer heals people. Knower knows things, kind of a librarian. Watcher is here to observe the world and watch. And then up here is Bang Bang Fire, which I love that name. I also love the character. Bang Bang Fire loves telling knock-knock jokes, and unfortunately we don't get to see any of her really bad humor, but it's a lot of really bad humor she has here. Her role, if you're wondering, what's a Bang Bang Fire do? Well, in this world, we're going to soon learn that everything has come down to 2 horrible events happening. There was an alien invasion from the occupants. The occupants, you'll see them later. Bang Bang Fire's role is to protect everyone in this space from the occupants. If there's an occupant attack, Bang Bang Fire pulls out the bang bangs and the fire. This here is Fixer. Fixer is the final of the named sisters, except for Principal. We'll see Principal coming up later. Fixer's role is to fix things. She is also your best friend. And as people go through their roles, they eventually graduate when they have become as awesome as they can be, as perfect as they can be. And when they graduate, they get onto a train and ride off to All Mother. All Mother is the originator of all of you. You're all clones, obviously. You all look very similar because you're all clones of Iris, the All Mother, who's that person we stabbed at the beginning of chapter Redacted. And so we are now going to start chapter 1 properly. So here we are actually starting the game finally. I mean, we started, but now we're starting for real. There's 10 normal chapters. This here is Principal. You'll also see as we go along other people of the various colors, except for Principal's red. Principal is the only red one. There's also these 2 different floating robots you see. Think of them as Navi from Ocarina of Time. In fact, yours, named Secretary, will actually say the famous Navi "Hey, listen" line. So Watcher has a role of watching everything, but also watching the past. And so Watcher right now is watching Iris's past in something called a communion. When you do a communion or a commune, you go back in time. And so this right here is Iris, the All-Mother's past. Ooh. Every once in a while when you run in this game, you kind of run like a shopping cart. You do not have good movement. You are in Iris or All Mother's past. There was a high school dance, and the night of that high school dance in the gymnasium, which we're trying to enter, but there's an error code. The night of the high school dance, something bad happened, and that would be the invasion of the occupant. And we are repeating through All-Mother's past to see what happened the night of the occupants coming down. There's also that there is an occupant, and this here is a picture of your best friend, Zhao. She's actually not your best friend. Iris kinda hates Zhao. And now we have our first main mechanic of this game. So this mechanic is we could time travel in these communions. And the time travels, ooh, that's weird, there we go. Time traveling will let us be able to sometimes get through passages we should not be able to. And in this time travel moment, we are able to pretty much see these weird little scenes. Ooh, there we go. These are a bit tricky to control, like they do not like to lock on as easily as you'd like them to, but we're just going through these scenes, trying to talk and see the events as quick as possible. So right here, we're seeing Iris, All-Mother, have a conversation with Zhao.
Don't go on anything.
And what we need to do right now is we were told there is something that will let us be able to get to the gym if we interact with Zhao 3 times. So that was the first interaction with Zhao. We used these 2 time travel points we have to be able to enter these rooms that are locked and be able to talk to Zhao. So pretty much time travel to get around different obstacles. There's a lot of cool story in this game that I really suggest if you like a great narrative. I mean, all of us have to love lore. That's why we're here for this great event. You know, lots and lots of lore for everyone. Really, really lots of lore.
I'm sorry. No.
So if you like lore, I suggest playing through this game, because even though I am kind of jumping through things frantically and skipping a lot of the story, you know, not too much of it should be spoiled for you watching me do this. Just enough to know things happen, but not enough to really give you all the details. But right here, we are now going to our third and final moment of interacting with Zhao. Ooh. And we just want to click on these as quick as we can. Just continue through, have all of these fun interactions.
Before I guess my dad.
Well,
Nothing.
But
Yeah.
And we just smash through this. Here's a speedrun sneaky trick. You could clip through that right there. Flipping through lets us skip a lot of navigation. People love thinking story-heavy games don't have a lot of speedrun strats. It's not entirely true. In this game, there are speedrun strats, even with this being a just essentially what some people might call a walking simulator. And now we can go down to the gym and actually see what happened the night that the occupant showed up. So we're just gonna run through here. The error code is now gone. And in the bottom left, you'll see the different time zones we could travel through, and also you'll see what the current time and year is, because we're going to go through a lot of different time zones. So right here, we're just going to advance through 1 or 2 small moments at a time. And then we are going to unlock quite a few of them here. And so we can either blast through these time zones or go slowly so we get a better idea of where we're running to. We could interact with Zhao if we wanted to. We don't want to interact with Zhao, because interacting with her takes time. And we're speedrunning. We don't have time. We're going to be running up to this occupant. And this occupant, this is the night that the occupants first showed up. And also, we're about to be chased by one of them. It's also the night that the plague started. So the other big event is there is a plague that killed everyone in the world who was not Iris. Well, almost everyone. You'll see details of the almost as we go through this game. But pretty much everyone was killed from this weird plague that essentially makes people cry, and as they cry, they die. And there we go. Now we are going to run up here. This is a little bit later, and we are going to talk to Zhao, who is in the hospital, dying of this plague. And then we are, whoa. Every once in a while, this game does have some weird movement where if you are pressing a direction and it does not care for it, it might snap you around in weird ways. It's one of the challenges of this game. So right here, Fixer is showing up. Fixer, who rode on the train and should be gone. So it's a big question, why is Fixer here? And also, right now she is telling us, hey, you know how we are all cool with Allmother and Allmother is super awesome? Actually, Allmother is horrible. In fact, she pretty much said, F all of this. Fixer loves swearing. So if you are sensitive to swear words, Fixer does swear. We mashed through it real quick, but Fixer does drop some F-bombs. Not too many. You know, maybe a half dozen throughout this whole run. We're compressing, though, you know, about 10 to 12 hours of story into just, you know, 2 hours and change. Unfortunately, the game, to set up dramatic moments, will sometimes disable your run button, which is why we are moving so very slow right here, but we're about to encounter Principal. So Principal is pretty much going to say, what did you think about your communion? And you're saying, you know, this was interesting, seeing Allmother's past, and it's really cool how Allmother had a name. She had a name of Iris, and there's also someone named Zhao. Why can't we have names? And Principal's like, don't focus on that so much. But also, what else did you think? And you're like, this is interesting, but also we had a small problem. Fixer showed up, and Fixer shouldn't have shown up. Oh, and here's examples of Iris's artwork. Iris is really good at drawing. She is very artistic. And we're also going to see what happened to Fixer through art. So here we are. Chapter 2 is officially underway, although Chapter 2 actually began with that artwork. So we're going to be asked to go up and talk to Principal. And I'm going to drink a little coffee, keep my throat good and hydrated, because there's a lot of game to explain here. I'm just going to run my mouth while I run the game. You'll notice something important. Everyone in this world is wearing a mask. All of the clones are wearing a mask. And that's because I mentioned there was a plague. Iris, or Allmother, was immune to the plague, but for some reason, all of you clones of her are susceptible to the plague. Alright, so Principal right here is going to say, let me tell you and all of the clone sisters about what happened to Fixer when Fixer betrayed us. And so we're going to see through artwork. Fixer did bad, so we burned her, and then we burned her again, and then we burned her more. I love the artwork. It's amazing. And now Principal is pretty much telling you, you need to commune with the named sisters, except for Principal. And by communing with them, you'll be able to determine, are they innocent of these bad thoughts that Allmother is horrible? Or do they harbor these bad thoughts? So first up, we are going to go and commune with Bang Bang Fire. You'll also see there's a bunch of these dots on our HUD. The dots that have symbols on them, like the orange one near middle screen right now, that would be Bang Bang Fire. But all of these without symbols are other sisters you could talk to. And the orange ones eventually will upgrade to become Bang Bang Fire when Bang Bang Fire graduates. The pink ones become Healer when Healer graduates. The blue ones become Watcher. The purple ones become Knower. And so on and so forth. There's also going to be a new green one becoming a new Fixer when, well, pretty much before too long in this game. So now we are in Iris's apartment, and our main thing right here is we just want to talk to a bunch of people in a hurry or collect a bunch of items, and we're going to see what your home life was like. So this here is your father, who, if you play through this game casually and listen to all his dialogue and see all the things he says, all the things he's gone through, Father is one of the most amazing characters. I absolutely love him. He is like my favorite character in this game, with Bang Bang Fire being a close second. And I wanted to select a weeb. I hit things just a touch quick there. And so we just want to talk to the right people and the right amounts in each area to continue going through. Also, here is your mother. So father is kind of this fun, happy-go-lucky guy, although he has a lot of pain and trauma in his past. Mother is kind of a helicopter mom or tiger mom, very strong, fierce, very traditional, very much about you need to be a good student, you need to be a proper daughter, blah, blah, blah.
To play game. Thanks, Beth.
And meanwhile, come on, there we go.
Asking you one last time.
Can't wait.
So we just want to click on enough things to make things happen. In this scene, we want to click on this door, get all of this dialogue of mother and father arguing behind doors, and then we'll talk to Bang Bang Fire, who's amazed by water dripping from the sky, because you live in an underground bunker of some sort, so you don't know all about you don't know all about what rain is and things like that, because you're all very sheltered. So part of the past that I was trying to explain is mother and father were kind of revolutionaries in China, where they come from, and they left China because things were becoming too heated and they wanted to be able to have more of a peaceful life in Canada, which is where you live. This moment right here is after that high school dance. These people here are the 50s. Johnson, the 50, is the leader of the 50s. The 50s are more or less a group. There are a total of 50 different groups after the plague that takes down the world. We need to talk to everyone here who is important and also look at a fruitcake. So we're just going to talk to everyone, including Bang Bang Fire and your mom and also fruitcake. And we'll talk to mom, and that'll advance us. So the 50s are a group of scientists that are here to keep you safe after everything goes bad with plagues and whatnot. Then we're just going to fall down here. And the 50s want to take Iris away to study her and figure out, why is she immune to the plague? And so that's why we keep going back to Iris's room, where we're packing things up, because we're packing things before we head off to be with the 50s.
Goes without. Oh, dang. Never wore these anyway. I'll probably.
There we go. Nope, not quite enough.
It's nice to.
Okay, Iris.
Sorry. Can't live. Cold feet.
All right. Just need to select enough of those quick enough. And we just have all sorts of weird moments we're experiencing. And here we are as a little kid Iris. This is a long time ago. We had our hamster cage. This is when we moved into our apartment. And Iris is like, I love this place. It's big enough for me and my hamster to play and have fun.
I'm so.
And then here we get to see your mom interacting with Zhao. Zhao is a very important character. We don't like her. I should say Iris doesn't like her because she's too goody-goody. She studies. She's a prim and proper daughter. She's a perfect everything. And meanwhile, you want to be not a perfect kid. You want to be free to a level that Iris is actually kind of a jerk. I mean, Iris is a horrible person, to tell the truth. So make no mistakes that Iris is not here to be like somebody who we go is a protagonist in the sense of we love her and she's amazing. She's a protagonist in the sense that she propels the story forward, but is just a jerk overall. Every once in a while I have to stop to fall some so we could keep aim. We cannot aim at some of these dots if they are too low down. Right there, too low down. These are hard to aim at, by the way. It's one of the main parts of speed tech in this game is trying to get those aims to lock on as quick as possible, because this game does not like to let you aim all that well. Here we're seeing a moment of mother and her mother arguing about the past and arguing about her leaving to Canada.
I know what you mean. When we're just I call Tom because if today I don't.
And here father is trying to convince you don't leave, because you promised the Johnsons you will join them, or not the Johnsons, the 50s, that you will join them so they could study you and find a cure for the plague. So we just need to run through this apartment as quick as we can and teleport out of it. And that is the end of our moment with Bang Bang Fire's communion. You wake up in the bar. Well, you don't wake up here, you go here later on. The way you drink in this world is instead of drinking alcohol, you tap into these IVs that make you feel better. And Watcher did not have a good time with that communion because it showed how horrible Iris is. Like, there's a lot of things Iris did there that just showed how bad of a person she is. Watcher is essentially just learning through these events just how miserable of a person they are cloned from. Meanwhile, Bang Bang Fire is like, whatever, I'm still going to enjoy life. Because Bang Bang Fire is awesome like that. And with that, we are now done with that chapter, and we are moving on to chapter 3. So chapter 3, we are going to have our communion with Healer. And Healer is not happy with us. Tell the truth, a lot of the sisters are not happy with Watcher right now because we ratted out Fixer. Even though Fixer said bad things about Allmother, at the end of the day, everyone still loved Fixer because Fixer was a good friend to everyone. So even if she said bad things about Allmother, they don't want her to die, or to have died, to have been burned.
She grew nauseous, guilty, but not. No, I'm glad I don't. I think rest.
So
When you're ready, something.
We finish up this conversation, get in the elevator, and get ready for our communion with Healer. Healer is all the way across at the far end, that pink dot on the lower level. This HUD is entirely optional. We also have a map, but pulling up the map is A, confusing, and B, slow. Because it is not a map that overlays, it's a map that takes over the screen, and when it's up, time doesn't move. So obviously we don't want to use a confusing map. Some of the hardest speedrun strats on this game deal with the fact that this area is such a confusing maze, and if you don't know where you're going to get incredibly lost. Also, Healer is in the most blindingly bright area. So here we're going to set up our communion with Healer. Healer hates us because
I am. You mean no?
she does not care for everything we've been up to.
You see, sister. It ends. I'm sorry. You can.
Also, sisters are apparently, some of them are committing unaliving of themselves. Some of them are doing some weird things because that incident with Fixer caused kind of a disruption in the order of everything. And we're going to see more disruptions because this game is called 1000xRESIST because it's going to show all sorts of resistance. Also, this whole game, it's not going to be 10 chapters of these communions. These communions are just for the setup of the game. I love how we see different ways of telling story and narrative. Like on this one, running to the right had those words that just floated there, scroll by. And it was a great way of seeing how the story progresses. So, like, we're going through the apartment now. Hopefully you memorized what the layout of the apartment was, because we're going to end up in that apartment a few times during this game. And knowing the layout to it is super important because we need to get through it as quick as possible every time. At this point, we're just going to run right for a bit. Some of the most beautiful visuals in this game. I absolutely love how this looks. It is just an amazing visual behold. We're also going to see a giant pigeon in the background. Keep your eyes out for that. And there it is, our giant pigeon. Doesn't really have a purpose in the plot, but in chapter 1's communion, when we were in the high school, we could have come across a giant pigeon, and it would have had some interesting things to tell us about colors and its confusion over colors and what they mean. In this communion, we are going to see the origin of the clone. So these different communion chapters are all setting up essentially key background information to understand the nature of this game. So in this one, it's all about learning where the clones come from and who the clones are and why the clones exist, and also what it means to be a clone. But first, we have to run. There we go. And now we are in the garden. So this garden is essentially where we live, and you'll notice, hey, Allmother is not here in the garden anymore, so what's up with that?
First, we're gonna like
Also, these 50s are not here, so what's up with that? Where are the 50s? Well, we're going to learn all the 50s died and left Allmother on her own.
This is you knew
And after the 50s all died, come on, talk. There we go. Sometimes it's hard to get the talk trigger to go.
Mimi, did you know you have?
And here we see the 50s dying. We just need to advance.
You did for me.
Secretary.
Every time you hear that sound, that tunk, 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 like that right there, means we unlocked a new time.
I'm gonna. What are you?
That sound is super important as we go through this game. Some of these times will advance on their own, some will do manually. Here is where the clones are born. So here are the original clones. And the colors probably look rather familiar. Or mostly familiar. There's no red clone, you might notice, and that's something very important to notice, is there is no red clone or principal clone, but there is, even from the very beginning, purple, pink, orange, wrong way, purple, pink, orange, blue,
am I not
and green.
And in time, I'm sure your sister its own close
And so all of the
understand.
clones are given jobs, and right here, blue clone or youngest sister is wondering, like, what's my role? And she's just given the role. Iris is like, I don't know, you watch things, you're a watcher. And all of the other clone sisters are like, that is the stupidest job I have ever heard of. Watcher? And so they're like, all right, you know what? How about you play hide and seek with us? You're good at watching, so watch where we hide.
Maybe.
And so we're gonna
Are you sure?
watch as she fails at hide and seek. She is really bad at hide and seek, because, oh no, it's pretty obvious when you see each of the clones that they are not hiding all that well.
Yeah, getting.
And here we're going to just be like, oh,
Hey.
I can't believe this is my predecessor. So you're offering like advice like, oh, you're doing good. She can't hear you, but you know, you're like, hey, you're doing good. Maybe you need to take a break. I mean,
Hello. You can. Please.
and so one of the rules of being a clone I didn't mention was Allmother or Iris said, hey, your number one rule, no making clones of sisters. You are not to make sisters. Only I make sisters. And so here, youngest clone or blue clone, she found Iris's diary, and Iris's diary talked about Zhao and had a hair of Zhao. And she's like, Zhao's not a sister. How about I make a clone of Zhao? You'll also notice all of the sister clones here do not wear masks, so they're all immune to the plague. Something important to know, because all of you in the present, outside the communion, require masks or you will die from the plague. And here it is All-Mother's birthday. She gets a fruitcake for her birthday. That fruitcake is a continuing theme. It looks delicious. It's not the European-style dense Christmas fruitcake that is always a joke of being dry and nasty. It's a beautiful, like, cream and fruitcake, making me hungry. So here, youngest is like, All-Mother, I got you the best birthday present ever. I got you a very defective Zhao clone. All-Mother is not happy with that and unalives Zhao clone and kind of flips her lid and is like, how about I do the same to you? The other sisters step forward and say, I know we teased a lot, but she is our sister. We don't want you to hurt her. And so All-Mother says, fine, you know what? I'm going to pluck out from each of you the immunity to the plague. And so here we watch as each of these sisters dies from the plague, one by one, except for youngest, except for Blue. She is the only one who doesn't, because she is being left here to suffer. So I should say, when I said European fruitcake, I talk about the jokes of it. Honestly, I love European fruitcake, but you do have to get a good one. You can't get like store-made stuff. You need like a good home one. I should say that because my partner makes the best fruitcake. Like, it is just flavorful and amazing. But at the same time, the Asian-style fruitcake they show here is fantastic. So we just got told, hey, I noticed Healer has not been here for a while. What up with that? And Secretary, our little Nabby fairy, goes, actually, she went back to the beginning. She kind of got tired of all of this and left. And so we're going to go back and slowly, one at a time, go back through all of these different times until, boom, we are back with Healer. And Healer, we're like, this was all so messed up. Everything got so bad. And Healer's like, you know what, is bad, but maybe not. I don't know. You're judgmental. I don't really like you anymore because you led to Fixer dying. So whatever, your opinion is unimportant. It's like, pretty much just a lot of bickering back and forth. Don't save our game. And now, let's dive in to chapter the 4th. So chapter 4. In the real world, outside the communions, a new fixer has been chosen. One of the green sisters has graduated to being the new fixer. You skipped her graduation ceremony, but you could go to the bar now. You're going to go to the bar, lift an IV drip in her honor, and celebrate. You don't really feel like celebrating because you led to Fixer die, and also Fixer was your best friend. So this is all just awkward, but pretty much you need to celebrate. So you go here and you're told, hey, if you go up here, you can't turn around, which is the game pretty much saying, hey, you're at a point of no return. Because this is where the game is going to start doing things. I should also add, there's a lot of times in this game where you could have talked to the different sisters and learned all sorts of things, but also you could have talked to the only sister who was not a color, the bartender. Oh yeah, and also occupants attacking, which, because that threat needs to be very real. But there's a bartender here who you could have been talking to every chapter, getting great stories and gossip. And unfortunately, speedrunning, we skipped all of our interactions with her, which is really unfortunate because later on, we're going to interact with her. And it'd be a lot more poignant if we actually had previous interactions. And yeah, that's what happens when you lose your mask. It is very quick. That plague just hits. Also, a few moments in this game, the volume just turns up. So right here, this is one of my least favorite moments because Bang Bang Fire is sad and depressed because everything just went really wrong. Her whole role was to keep everyone safe from occupants, and people got hurt. So we're going to do something different here and actually talk to all of these sisters, which normally we don't do. We don't like talking to people because it's slow, but our role is watcher, and before we could do our next communion, we need to prove that we are a good watcher, so we need to watch everything. If you try and skip talking to anyone in this area, you will have to go back and track them down.
Are you? I'm sorry. Don't.
So here, I just keep holding the button to keep our HUD active, because it will show me which ones I have not talked to. And so these ones
No damage.
are just gonna,
Okay.
you know, offer basic miscellaneous information. But yeah, we are all about the watcher life here. And we are going to talk to the one gray, the one miscellaneous, which is the bartender right here. We will see more of her later. This is the only interaction we get in this part of the game with her, but she will be a very important character come chapter 6. And we just need, we're not going to talk to her yet, because she will actually be the last one we talk to. And there's a reason for that. That reason is we have to go into that room she was standing next to, because that's where Noah is, and Noah is her next communion buddy. So let's just blast through all of these. Final one besides the one guarding Noah, well, standing by Noah, and Noah herself. And here we have a flashback to us hanging out at this location with Fixer. There's achievements in this game for going these different locations, like this little shrine right here, which is part of the reason why the game told you before you went into the bar that you were kind of entering a point of no return. Are you sure you want to go in there? Because the game wanted to make sure that if you wanted those achievements, you could get them. Of course, you can also do chapter select on this game, so after you beat it, you can always go back to previous chapters and get those achievements. Alright, so let's get our communion on with Noah. And this is going to be the one area, oh, wrong button. Oops. Typically, commune now is going to be the bottom one. That is one of the rare times commune now is the top choice. So this is the one place in a game where I have notes, because this is the one place where you really need to be able to enter the correct answers for things. So we're going to run through this cave system. We want to not fall down too steep of a drop on any of these declines, because if you do, you'll do what I call Skyrimming, which if you've ever played Skyrim, you all know you could jump up mountains and sheer cliffs by just kind of forcing your way through. This game, if you fall down too sharp of a cliff, it kind of looks like when you're trying to Skyrim up a mountain in that game, where you are going to have frames that get janky, and those janky frames are going to lose you a second-ish every time you have an issue with them. So this is a weird communion because you'll notice no sign of Iris really, but instead some very strong occupant symbols, like that weird halo ring there, is what we saw on top of an occupant. So this is actually a unique and strange communion, because you're actually going to be communing with an occupant here.
There's that room.
Also, you'll notice that Secretary acts a little weird here, because Secretary is starting to, like,
What happened? Where's
voices.
Secretary? Maybe and weird. It's possible. This is. I'm here. What? That's just.
So this area is tricky, because it is very easy to get lost until you start getting through the first door. That is Skyrimming right there. That is where I lost a few frames because I fell off a little bit too steep of a decline. So we are running through all of these different, like, oh no, shadows of the past. And here's Watcher. Watcher's like, I don't know what's going on here, but it is a weird place.
I'll give you. Meet me up.
And so we want to run through to these glowing rooms. The glowing rooms are where we want to keep going, and there's going to be a big glowing room after a little bit more, and that is where we're going to do a little puzzle solving. And up here is that room with the puzzle solving. I love the visuals in this area. It is so stark. It is oppressive. So we are gonna quickly have a talk. We're going to do this 3 times because, you know, video games, rule of 3s. You always do things 3 times because that's when you really drive it home. So this one time we will talk to Noah. The other 2 times we will not. But
Yes, our friend. Watcher.
we need to essentially pick up 4 phrases in each of these areas, and we need 4 times. So we talk to someone, and if the camera changes, then we're talking to the right person. Camera changed.
Am I so red?
Camera changed. And camera changed. So if we do all those correct, we're going to have 4 phrases we can use to solve a puzzle. It's a word association thing. Or for me, I just call it 2, 3, 4, and we want to be careful. I take a little time to select each of those because if you hit the wrong one, you had to go through all of it all over again, and that's a waste of time. So like I said, we are communing with the memory of the occupant, not with the memory of Iris here, which is weird and should be alarming to your character. In fact, it is quite alarming. This is when we were being chased by the occupant after we got into the gymnasium. And so we're just going to run through here. We could interact with all these jowl moments, but we're not going to, because interacting with them, it eats up time, and we don't want that. We just want to interact down here with Iris. So we will interact with Iris right here, because part of what went really wrong and weird around here is Iris interacted with the occupants. What that means, we're still figuring out in-game, because we're going blast through story. Essentially what it means is the plague came from the occupants, and Iris had a hand in all of that. So we're just going to run through here, continue. This one is relatively simple. The next one is going to be very annoying because we're going to have another pitch black cave where it's very easy to not find the exit door. So once again, we need to talk to 4 people in 4 different times, 1 per time, and we know it's the right person if the camera changes. So if you talk to the wrong one, the camera will not do like a little movement.
Use that roll?
That is the wrong one.
As if I can.
Wow.
No,
I am always really bad at that one.
I know Do you?
There we go. For some reason, this area always, my mind just blanks out on me on the correct one. So we got through there though. 4213.
The very fast. There.
42.
There's. I
1.
thought if resident we take from me. Do you
3.
want to?
And we have another moment of floating around here. Oh, this area is so easy to get turned around. It doesn't offer good, like, landmarks to make it very clear where you're going, but there we go. And here we go, Iris hanging out with Johnson the 50, looking at all these occupants just hanging out in the city, non-moving, they just hang out there.
Secretary.
And one more of these. This one is another instance where it is very difficult to find the door because it is so pitch black. You'll know you're going. Ooh, Skyrimming again. Not cool. You'll know you're going the right way when these black shadows pop up. That means you're going where you need to go. This area is relatively linear, but also is very easy to get lost at the same time. You'll also notice my brightness seems a little high during this game, and it is entirely for this area. These dark caves, having the brightness turned up on the game is what you want to do if you want to make it where you can actually see where you're going, because these caves are just a touch too far on the darkness side. And here we go, final one of these. Once again, it is typically going to be the furthest away person. There's going to be 4 times, 4 people, 1 per time. So we will run over to this furthest one here.
People who went back.
Camera changes. We'll go the furthest one over here. Camera changes. Want to go this one who's waving right here. And then the last one.
I can't, Ma.
Talk to Iris.
I wish.
And for this one, it's 1424. We actually repeat a number, but we do not repeat any answers.
There is the bad kids. Resident. The rapid expression. There's the world. There's. I wish everyone. There.
And there we go. And now we get to see what happens when the 50s and an occupant get together.
What do you get back?
Johnson the 50 is like, you know, you should not be interacting with these things.
There's a fundamental. I accept. I wish.
And now we see what happens when an occupant really interacts. And we also see the occupant bringing a gift of 3 floating things, of which that middle one looks a whole lot like Secretary.
And now I think don't talk. I don't.
And here is where Watcher is starting to go, wait, everything that went wrong in the world was because of Iris interacting with the occupants. And now, Watcher is about to pretty much lose her cool. Also, she lost her run button, which luckily it's a short enough scene. And now she's about to lose her cool.
Watcher, please.
And also Secretary is kind of going to get beaten up a bit. Oh, something else that happened during all of these moments, if you're talking to Noah would have mentioned to you that she actually graduated. Noah is like, you know that train that came for Fixer? It came for me as well. And you get to ask her if you're playing casually and take your time and listen to these conversations. Noah goes, yeah, the train showed up. I
I lied. about your
I
past.
didn't really
I felt
want
as if-
to
and I
go.
know
I
it's
was
not
having too much
obvious.
fun being nowhere,
What does it just do?
and I didn't really care about meeting Allmother. And you're like, wait, you could do that? You could not go? And she goes, yeah, you could not go, but also that train shows up like every few days to pick me up. And because of that, Watcher is like, yo, everything about Allmother is horrible. She is the worst. Everything is bad. She caused the plague. She's the reason Fixer is died, or Fixer, was burnt.
You needed
You're not.
Pretty much Watcher is not cool with any of this. And, well, you might recognize that shard of Secretary in Watcher's hand. You might recognize it from beginning of the game, from Chapter Redacted. We're actually in Chapter Redacted now, which is actually Chapter 5. If we did everything right, we're about to have a huge skip coming up that's going to skip half of Chapter 5. Chapter 5 can either be a 6.5 minute affair that's mainly watching cinematics, or it could be a 10-ish minute affair. If we did everything right, we have one more thing we need put in, one more specific answer, and we're going to skip part of the game. My advice, if you ever want to play this game casually and you haven't experienced it yet, do experience it. I'm glossing over a lot of details because there is 12 hours of story and we are just getting it in 2 hours and change. But also, in Chapter Redacted, don't say 6 to 1. And in Chapter 5, we're about to say red to blue. Don't say that, because that should be the key to skipping part of Chapter 5. Part that reveals quite a bit. Also, another bit that I did not mention earlier is there was talk of part of the reason we all need to be good sisters and why Fixer was so naughty is there used to be the youngest sister, which was that blue sister in the long ago, the one who cloned Zhao. And youngest was essentially, that mythological bad person. If you go through Judeo-Christian, theology, there's the serpent in the Garden of Evil or Garden of Eden, and Eve ate the forbidden fruit and all of that. In their creation myth, it's all about youngest sister. Youngest sister is the one who created all problems for all of them. And the reason they're all able to be exposed to the plague and die from the plague and have to wear masks is because of youngest sister. And that's important because we're going to get a slight reveal of who youngest sister really is. Because you might be thinking, that's a long time ago, but youngest was left alive by Allmother and might still have a presence in the world. But first, let's see what we saw at the very beginning of the game. We're going to see that stabbing again, so if you are sensitive to seeing somebody stabbed, definitely get ready to look away. That stabbing does recur a few times during this run. Red to blue. If all went well, we have set up a skip. If all didn't go well, my estimate for this run takes into account the skip not working. Hopefully it works though, because that's what speedrunning's all about. We want to see things as quick as possible. So here we just murdered Allmother, kind of killed the last actual human, because all of us are clones of her, and we don't have that immunity. And Principal is here. That seems really weird. However, the other thing that should seem really weird, if you've been paying attention in this game, none of the sisters are red except for Principal. Why is there only one red? There's a ton of blue, a ton of green, orange, pink, purple. There's the named ones, but also the unnamed ones. Well, she just called Principal youngest. And so that should set up the fact that Principal has been kind of manipulating you all along, manipulating you to get revenge against Allmother for, well, petty complaints from the past. And Watcher is kind of the patsy for all of this. Watcher is in a lot of trouble. So we're going to try and nope out of here. And so give it 1 second, and it is going to be time to nope out of here and hope for a big skip. We drop our shard of secretary, that is a knife. And we wait for control to come back to us and nope out of here. And there we go. If you're playing this game casually right now, would be when you'll be like, for it. Wait for it. We're about to get, oh, the splash screen of when the game loads up. I guess we beat the game, starting from scratch, except everything's covered in blood. It's kind of like if, you know, it's a classic trope you see from games like, Fez, where you get to see things like this happen, and other games like that where you have the false restarting of the game. And huge skip. There we go. We just skipped about 3 to 4 minutes of the run. However, now things become very weird. Who is this who does not have a color to them? And we are going to learn there are those who don't have a color. They are called miscellaneous. Well, we're about to play as this miscellaneous. All of the miscellaneous have a number. However, a lot of them start giving themselves names. And the miscellaneouses, for the most part, are the dregs of society. We are also now going to be in a time that is a few years after Allmother was killed. So we are now like 3 years AA, which is 3 years after Allmother. And here is our best friend, Melody. Melody gave herself a name, and it's a fitting name because she sings. There's also these reds now, a lot of reds. The red shells are essentially the horrible the militia, the police. Think of them as the oppressive regime, because everything is now oppressive. That there is Bartender. Bartender does have access up to the good areas of this world to serve bar. And she is right now trying to deal with these horrible secret police people who are harassing her. And she pretty much says, hey, I need you to help me make a special drink. Special IV drink, that is. And she's like, to get a special drink, I need you to get something flowery, something dirty, and something sweet. And so flowery stuff, there is somebody who pretty much runs a greenhouse of sorts or a garden. She gives us something flowery. These are religious fanatics who are obsessed with Allmother and want to be burned to become closer to Allmother, and they say they are dirty, so we ask them for a shred of their hair, which is something dirty. And then Athena here guards Chris. Chris is kind of the leader of the miscellaneous, the unofficial leader. And so we need to go see Chris get something sweet. But Athena says, I won't let you see Chris unless you do a delivery for me. So we're going to deliver to this one right here, something sweet.
What did you say? I'm fine. Just before. Hey, for the. Here you go. Be careful.
And Watcher has a mural showing she is a traitor. There's also murals of other people, such as Fixer and other ones around here.
Now, let's.
we can now go up and see Chris. Chris is very much the militant leader of the miscellaneous and wants to overthrow this government because this current government is an oppressive, horrible government. It wasn't good back when Allmother was around, but it's a lot worse now that Allmother is gone. We now have everything we need to make a drink. So we're going to help bartender. It's pretty much just a fetch quest right here, but also a chance to see what the world is like now that Allmother has been gone for a few years and see how oppressive and topsy-turvy everything is.
You're the look, but if you... That's what I get. We're trying together.
And so bartender pretty much reveals that she is the one who is trying to help out people in this really weird, in this real weird world. She is the one who is just trying to keep people alive, keep people safe.
Yeah, come on, go home tomorrow. I believe I'll wake up you.
And she's like, all right, you know what? Go home, get some rest. Tomorrow's another day. So we start heading home and we're like, oh yeah, the gardener said I should water her plants for her. She gave me something flowery. I might as well do a nice favor. There's Fixer's mural showing that she is no longer loved or appreciated because she was a traitor to Allmother, and of course it's confusing whether traitors to Allmother are seen in one way or another way because everything's so confusing nowadays because of being 3 years after Allmother was killed by Watcher. So we're going to go to bed. But once we get up to our apartment, Melody's going to hang out with us. She's our one good friend, and she'll show us why she's named Melody. Because she sings. And we skip through the singing because we don't have time for that. Meanwhile, tonight, something happened. Not quite as big as Allmother being assassinated, but instead another thing that is going to shake the very foundation of this world, the very foundation of what remains.
I missed, but you did.
So right now, bartender is looking at this mural of Watcher kind of wistfully because those were the good old days.
Isn't it your rights?
But meanwhile, the Reds do not really care for that.
Did you like my new
Yeah, this game is it is really a lot of different things gave it like Game of the Year considerations, if not full-on Game of the Year, you know, runner-up type of status, because this game really does go places. And it's kind of a shame speedrunning it, because you blast through all of the story, and you miss out on... This is a game that really hits emotions well.
Where is everyone?
So at this point, it's like, what's going on? Everyone seems very weird. Also, your camera angle is very weird. You do not have control of your camera properly here, which can make it a little weird as you move around because the game adjusts weird for your movement if you're holding a direction and the camera changes. And you're going to come across your favorite person in this world. Kind of your role model has been
What do you think?
taken out. And Noah is now a Red. So Noah is actually in this new government a minister. All of the named sisters are ministers, with Principal being the leader of it. I love the mechanic they use here on the right of showing your quest is going to tell you your thought. It's a cool way of doing internal dialogue. Right now, your character is thinking, go home. Instead, though, your character thinks, no, can't be alone, find Melody. I love how it uses your quest as what you're thinking. No, I don't want to talk to Melody. Go and find out who did this. Cut them. Watch them bleed, watch them suffer, watch them grow cold. Kill the High Minister, which would be formerly principal, and destroy the government. And we know where we need to go, because it'll eventually tell us. But we might have gone the wrong direction, that we need to find Athena and Chris. Because Chris is the one person you know is going to be sympathetic to a miscellaneous, like, bartender being treated that way. Also, I keep saying our character, because we're not Watcher anymore, and it's annoying. Our character's name is question marks. So it's like, it's frustrating saying our character. It'd be great if we had a name. Well, good news, we're going to pick a name right here. We just picked the name Blue. So, Blue is now going to be on a mission. Blue was also given access to go to the garden, to the main area from the previous chapters. She now has permission to go up there.
Hey, what? I know.
Make sure we tell a lie to Melody, otherwise it's a long conversation. Telling a lie there, it's a very short conversation. So, of course, we want to make things as short as possible. So we were given permission to go up here, and because Bartender is dead, there is still a bar up here, and people love the bar. So it pretty much means they need a bartender. And we are Bartender's, assistant. So we're going to be the one who can be bartender. This here is Capital Red. Capital Red has another name we will learn later. And she she is the leader of the Red Police, the Red Corps. She is definitely not a good person. Here, we want to make sure we leave.
I don't know why, except me. Please. I
have a function.
And so, Chris, when we told her, I can't believe what happened, Chris pretty much tells us, go to the Zhao in the center of the garden.
Candy.
And so, there are now clones of Zhao, because youngest sister was so proud of cloning Zhao.
I've never met.
Oh,
You're a new.
hit the wrong one. Oh, that is unfortunate. That's a loss of a little bit of time. Why, I said always go a little slow on your selections. So we tell her Chris sent us. So there are now Zhaos being cloned, because Principal, or youngest sister, was all about the Zhao clone. And the Zhaos are pretty much treated like pets. You'll notice instead of getting these cool bodysuits, they all wear schoolgirl outfits. And they are very much in the mood for a revolution. And so we talk to that one Zhao and say Chris sent us. And that Zhao says there are two other Zhaos that you should tell no worries. And if you tell them no worries, they will help set you up. So we will head on up. All of the Zhaos are given names also, kind of like how the name sisters have their names, but the name Zhaos are all named after foods. So there was Candy Zhao, Toffee Zhao, we're about to meet Cherry Zhao. And this is also All Mother's birthday is today. Which means there's going to be a huge play put on that is a memorial of her being assassinated by Watcher. And that's what this here is all about, this stage. So we talked to the two Zhaos. Now it's time 10 bar until the plan comes into place of how to overthrow this government. And how that plan falls into place? Well, it started by telling the Zhaos no worry.
All right.
And now we're going to have some people, some customers,
Lennon,
while we're
What
bartending.
do you need?
you're new. So
So we need to pick the right drinks for this one.
Can you help?
We want something old school and off the menu, so we'll offer an Inside Sunrise, a Dark and Sinful, and then a Bloody Sister. And then she's going to happen and mention, by the way, I have a...
She would.
There we go. She's going to say, hey, I happen to have a bomb. Would you like a bomb? And so we get a bomb. I wonder what our plan is going to deal with. This here is a nurse sister
What are you?
who
I feel
wants a
like
drink,
Hold on.
and
What's your
I,
likeness?
like I said, be careful of the
Sure. Oh,
hitting buttons too quick because it's easy to hit the wrong dialogue option.
Why would
And so she's like, hey, you know what's in the box? It's a cake.
I got names
And so
Thanks for wealth. I promise.
she's like, it's a cake. And you're like, so what? It's a cake. It's a fruit cake for the play. It's a prop cake, and that prop cake has an opening in it. You could probably put something in it, like a bomb.
Oh, no, just
Straight.
And then Capital Red here is actually wanting to overthrow the government. And it's like, wait, why? And we find out that Capital Red kind of wants to watch the world burn.
Oh, they.
It was you.
It was.
And so Capital Red goes, hey, I'm not the one who killed Bartender, and I'm actually very
You
sorry
can't
about it.
die. I hope.
Don't. You're.
But how about I deliver that cake for you to the play? And so we are now going to go to the play. And we are just going to watch the play. We happen to have like a little device with a button on it that we're going to hold on to during the play. A button that might transmit a message to some electronics to kind of do something, like explode.
I'm right. Everyone know I knew.
Thanks. I'm sorry.
And so Cherry Zhao wants to be here with us as we overthrow the government. So
Should I wait? I never thought of
we are now going to rewatch the events of Chapter 5. But instead of watching them as they actually happen, we're going to see them as a stage play. We could have talked to people earlier and met some of them. So you'll notice one of the ministers is missing. That might be important. But we're going to watch this play, and the play is going to be all about what Watcher did to Allmother. I should mention that there is Vice. There are 3 of these different robots in total. There was Secretary, who we kind of beaten up as Watcher to make a knife to stab Allmother. There's Vice. I'm not sure if the 3rd one ever gets a name, but Vice and the 3rd one are in the possession of Secretary, or of Principal, who is now the head of the government, youngest sister from the long ago. And then there's also Zhao Prime, which is the first recent Zhao clone. She has one also. Those are important to know. And so right here, we are going to rewatch everything go bad. Also, Principal is playing Principal here, because she is so egotistical and full of herself that there's going to be a play with Principal being the heroic one who comforts Allmother as she dies. She's going to play that role. Principal is very conceited, very full of herself, and a little bit out of touch with reality. And we're going to see how she's out of touch with reality right here, where it's this touching scene in the play of her telling Allmother, I'll miss you, you were so wonderful, I am so sad this could ever happen. And Allmother's like, you will lead us forevermore in my place. And then Principal goes a little off the rails here, off script, and then says, wait for it, I'm actually jumping ahead a tiny bit. We have all of all of these sad events are unfolding, blah, blah, blah. And then she's like,
How could two
stop
hurt
calling
me?
me,
What?
whatever, call me youngest. And All Mother's actress is like, wait, what? I think you just went off script. And she's like, call me youngest. And here you could continue watching her descent into madness, or you could just hit the button and boom, there we go. 1000 times resist, that is one form of the 1000 forms of resist that we see. Blowing things up. Sadly, Cherry Zhao, who I loved, you only see her in this chapter. It's such a short time.
What the hell?
Secretary just said the line, by the way. Hey, listen. But Cherry Zhao, sadly, is gone. We need to get the heckaroonie out of here. Also, Secretary is now with us. And you're probably like, wait, how is Secretary with us? Well, after All Mother was taken out, because All Mother programmed Secretary, Secretary was able to reboot because of a combination of All Mother passing and the damage that it received triggered like its auto repair systems. So Secretary is up and with it, and no longer under the original programming that it had when Watcher was in possession of it. Alright, so here, there we go. We are just gonna continue running. So this is a amalgamation of current time of, oh boy, we just blew up a bomb, run, and also somehow seeing the memories of Iris's parents back when they were dissidents in China. So that's why we're getting this weird combination of like smoke bombs and umbrellas and police, riot police. We're just going to keep running through this as quick as we can. Except for right here. We are not going to run through this as quick as we can. We can't get out of this scene. It's a timed one. So I'm just going to keep moving because it feels less awkward than sitting still, because speedrunning and sitting still just feels wrong. There we go. And we are getting knocked out. And Bang Bang Fire to the rescue.
You get on.
And Bang Bang Fire just said, get on the train. We're going to get on that train. Unfortunately, if you didn't notice, Bang Bang Fire has been beaten up a bit. One leg prosthetic, one arm prosthetic. She has been through some bad times. Also, Secretary, been through bad times. Obviously, we saw that because Secretary is missing one quadrant. And what the? Fixer is here.
Who then what?
So it ends up when Fixer was unalived at the beginning as punishment for betraying All Mother. It wasn't Fixer who went into the communion. It was a fake Fixer. Somebody, being Principal, created a fake Fixer to set up everything. And in reality, Fixer knew something bad was coming and ran. And so, whole bunch of surprises. This is all, of course, 3 years later. 3 years after everything happened. So now we're going to see what happened right after All Mother was assassinated. This chapter is all about seeing what happened in those 3 years, as well as also what happened to what happened in Watcher, and in the long ago, what happened to Watcher's parents after the plague came. Because a lot of different background events have been going on. So at this point, Nowhere is like, why did you kill All Mother? And you're like, Principal tricked me. And eventually, Nowhere is going to start revealing, yeah, I know Principal was behind all of it. Principal is, you'll tell her she is actually the mythical youngest daughter, the youngest sister, who caused everything to go bad in the long ago, caused us to lose our plague immunity, you know, is the one who ate the forbidden fruit in the Garden of Eden, so to speak.
It's a parental. I trust.
If you can, it gives.
And nowhere is going to tell you, hey, I actually know that. I know all of this, but
You don't know.
I am right now working with Principal, so I don't get, you know, taken prisoner or executed.
Stay long. It's hard. Don't go so.
Meanwhile, at the same time, we're getting background information, background events of what happened with Iris.
Oh, it's you, Queen.
Hello.
Sorry. Fine.
Where's...
I can't.
You're back so...
It's whole.
You sure?
Even for what I got.
You broke...
And
I
what
will-
happened
I
with
know,
Mother
I'll
and
look at
Father.
Not really.
Everyone.
Yeah?
Well, except
What are you...
I don't know. Maybe.
As well as we're also going to see some of the events
All
of
your
what
best
happened
fix
with
it. I
youngest
went to
sister
steal
at
it.
various
What's
points.
I just met.
Like, there's a lot of things going on here.
Thank you.
As long
And
as
so, Nowhere, though, is going to pretty much reveal, hey, I'm working with you. I'm actually here as your buddy.
But I was.
I want to help you get out of here. But I'm going to work with Principal so Principal doesn't unalive me. Also, Healer and Bang Bang Fire
I know.
ran because they were going to be unalived. They are in hiding. They have escaped. You also have a very creepy
How long?
blue sister who is going to keep watching you. You're going to call her Mob. And Mob is going to get some friends.
you all
You had...
tried not.
Well,
Also, we're
I
going to
did
get time
well.
controls
Plenty of
here.
state.
Nah.
My
So it's real
Yes.
weird. We're in some sort of communion,
Not
it
a-
means.
So,
You know.
I do. Go
Question
on.
is, who's in the communion? Is it
Come on,
Watcher
the
or
second
is it
start
Blue?
with the that's
Look at you guys. What fun.
And Mob is going to bring some friends.
Mauve. You think?
Earl and I didn't catch the other one. I never catch it. I think it's Taupe.
What are you?
I'm sorry.
But
I've
Mob
with him,
is
but
going to
the
matter.
Rainbow
Mob
Trigger
is the only
Is
one that
you-
matters.
Where are they?
Watcher.
They wouldn't buckle. Jump.
Watcher.
Because she is kind of a sadistic
and
guard.
so there is many. I think
You'll see
that
Nowhere
time
is
there a
slowly
fee
going to change
before
her
I go
look.
to Principal?
Nowhere is
No.
less purple now,
Don't.
and you're about to be
Don't
given
watch,
drugs.
Don't make sister.
And it's best not to resist, because if you don't resist, it's quicker. Then a little more flashback to what happened with Mother and Father, including some dialogue of when Mother was leaving China and having phone calls with her mother. Or not having phone calls, because at the same time, her mother didn't really appreciate her leaving China.
Watcher.
And so you could tell when we are and what's going on in the bottom left by what year we are seeing. If it's year AA, that's after all Mother, so we are definitely Watcher post-assassination. If you see a year of 20-something, then it means we are Mother and Father. We are now in 2AA. We have been drugged for like about a year now. We have been just getting drugged over and over, while Nowhere is demanding that we apologize and confess the sins we have had.
And the lab locked up. She probably make sure.
Meanwhile, 2048 CE is after the plague has started. Mother and Father have survived the plague. Because guess what?
It's been
When Iris,
How are you?
so when Iris was working with the occupant to pretty much say, I want everyone to die,
Where is she?
and the plague happened, she actually didn't want everyone to die. She actually did still love her mother and father, so they survived through the plague.
Buckle, jump, fix, turn,
No.
and then watch her. She and she's
Please.
sister that you and there's that.
Right here, we are being told, hey, guess what? Fixer is actually alive.
What? Can't you see?
You don't have to force.
She'll be mother.
Okay.
You think?
There's a lot of things that happens here. Like I said,
Why don't you?
No.
we are
I
compressing
just-
a 12-hour story experience into like 2 hours and change, so there is a whole lot right here that even knowing what's happening, you're not going to know what's happening if you play this casually. I highly recommend giving this game a shot because there is so much going on. There's a reason it has really good reviews on Steam. It's just a really cool game.
Let me. They can't. Please. I can't.
Was no.
And here we just have a lot of dialogue going on.
You.
That you. I just. Yes, that's why.
Youngest. Not the. I swear.
Wrong room. And here we start seeing Iris with the youngest. This is before youngest cloned Zhao and created all the bad things. We'll do a little time travel to travel through doorways. Because one thing, remember in this game, is we could travel through doorways if we time travel.
I've come. I've been. That's not. Watch.
Just have find the door when it's open, go through, go back to the time when it was closed, and that's all you need. You'll notice Noah is now starting 3 years after All-Mother, wearing some red. That whole oppressive new government is very much showing its colors, literally showing its colors. Meanwhile,
Okay. Probably.
mother and father have been in this post-plague world for several years. They are more or less the only humans really left on the surface. They have been alone for multiple years, just trying to survive. We're just gonna skip through these. They're going to have some drunk talk together, you know, remembering the good old days. Because even with the world falling down around them, they still very much do care for each other. The two of them together are kind of beautiful to watch and read through, even though they are going through so much pain. They miss their daughter. They don't know what happened to her. The world is upside down, but they're still good people.
I'm wide. I no one.
I completely got turned around there. My controls get a little weird in some of these spots.
Why are there's not? I found you feel Baha. I thought you how without.
And at this point, father is no longer with mother. We don't know for sure what happened, but
When they were full, they were
here we start to see father just really can't take it anymore.
You know what? It helped it.
And also he explains what his past was with the Chinese government. So he used to sing all the time, and Iris would appreciate it as a little girl, but Iris started to hate the singing. And pretty much here he starts explaining the reason he started to sing so often is when he was in the revolutionary acts in China, he would hear people being hurt so badly, and singing would drown out the screams and the cries. Like, he has a lot of PTSD, a lot of sadness.
Yes. How you're gonna find put me sturdy rot.
And here, 3 years after, you're being told, confess.
It was all we.
And they don't like what confession you do, no matter what it is. And you are now one-eyed.
Let's try. Who's?
But they don't like your confession, and
I'll watch. Who can know? Guard. You can stop. Clean this bed.
Noah, who says she's on your side and wants to help you out of there, is at the same time more than happy if it helps her, like, get in good with principal. She is more than happy to DI you, which is horrible. Like, Noah is my least favorite character throughout all of this game. No matter how bad some of these characters are, Noah is the worst because she is the one who really just absolutely has no principles, has no... There is no line she will not cross if it means getting through alive. She will not worry about protecting anyone. Also, this area was kind of tricky because we had to find the people to talk to while blind. which can be very tricky to do. And now we have a 3-minute movie. So, during this 3-minute movie, I'd just like to remind all of you why we are here with this wonderful event, because we are here to help the Transgender Law Center. Fantastic cause. You know, we're learning all about different ways to resist and to fight against, you know, what you feel is tyranny and wrong and just damaging to society, damaging to people. And one great way to resist in real life and fight against things that are bad, support good causes like the Transgender Law Center, which is here to help people, help trans individuals during times when their protections and rights are being eroded, their freedoms are being oppressed. So if you have it in you, if you have the ability, I know financially it is a weird, not great time for a lot of us, but if you have the ability, donate to the Transgender Law Center. If you're watching this on a browser, there's a button right below the screen or right below the stream that says donate to charity. Click on that, donate whatever you could donate, whatever you could give to help, you know, the trans community. They're seeing their rights being kind of chipped away at, eroded, and not cool. You know, trans rights are human rights. I have so many great trans friends who have fought for me in various times in my life, various ways. When I have needed some help, they have been there. Fantastic people, full of love, and honestly, being able to help out in some way, no matter how small, is a great thing. Also, this movie goes on, like I said, for 3 whole minutes. The good news is if this was a longer speed run, or if I overdid it on coffee, this is the restroom point where you go, all right, I'm going to get up, I'm going to hit the restroom, I'm going to go make another cup of coffee, I'll be right back, but don't need to do that because we're getting through this. And after this ends, we're pretty much going to be ready to dive into chapter 8. There are 10 total full chapters, and then of course we had chapter redacted at the beginning as a prologue, and we will have an epilogue. And one thing that's kind of fun in this game, there are multiple endings. We're only going to see one of those endings, but if you pick a bad ending, you will finish chapter 10, go into the epilogue, and then the game will actually drag you back to chapter 10 when you get a bad ending and you are not able to see a full conclusion of the story. Yeah, and I hate the fact that the US is really just so much great progress was made for trans rights in the last couple decades. Not nearly enough progress, but a good amount of progress at least. And then all of a sudden, especially in the last few months, it has been just a nightmare. And everyone should be able to live freely. Oh, I hit the wrong one. I'm ready. There we go. Everyone should be able to live comfortably free and feeling safe and being safe. So this here is where Watcher is going to be broken out from prison by Bang Bang Fire and Fixer, not Healer, because Healer's kind of a healer, not a fighter.
What do you mean?
And Knower, right now, Fixer and Bang Bang Fire are like, what did you do to Knower? Where are her eyes? And Knower's like, oh, I did what I had to do. Anyways, hit me so it looks like I didn't let you just take off with Watcher. And Fixer takes a wrench and just smacks Knower as hard as she can, going, oh, I'm more than happy hit you for what you did. So, here,
cavern. I wish aren't how the whole the one was going out.
Here we are now blue, and we're in a very awkward place, because, I mean mentally an awkward place, because Blue knows everyone here, because she has actually been communing with Watcher somehow.
You don't like that. I've got.
So Blue knows all these people, and these people don't know Blue. So Blue will say things like, she'll talk to Bang Bang Fire in certain parts and say things, and Bang Bang Fire will be like, that sounds like good advice. And, you know, where did you learn that? And you pretty much go, from you, actually. Weird floating body, ignore that. So we are on this train running back and forth. Important thing is you want to make sure you go to the right places. If you miss the right places, you're going to end up running all the way down to one end of the train and then all the way down to the other end without making any progress. So we want to make sure we do not miss any of the flags to make things progress. So one thing that's kind of sad is Bang Bang Fire, who was always knock-knock jokes and so much fun, is now incredibly depressed. Right here, Fixer is asking, hey, if you are trying to help us, how are you going to do it? You in what army? And so you tell her, I have the miscellaneouses with Chris, I have the Zhaos on my side, I have the traditionalists, I have the religious fanatics. Awesome, just a donation, $50. That is awesome and fantastic. Keep donations coming, because, and on bright side, there's a lot of time, because while this run's getting, you know, this run's less than an hour ago, there is so many more runs coming up. This event's going to keep going for a while, so lots of time, but definitely get those donations in to help out the Transgender Law Center. So, right here, we are just going to be running back and forth on this train as we pretty much see this interpersonal drama of three people who are not happy. And Watcher, who is very much not in good shape. So between all the drugs, the trauma of her eyes, and also all of these communions, doing communions, especially she has been sending me communions, and that's how I know all of this stuff. That's how I know. Oh, I missed it barely again. I menued slightly off. Elite is a pretty quick option. Instead, just flat out leave, which would have been a little quicker. But all of those communions, the trauma, the drugs, the time in prison, the emotional stress, the emotional pain, all of that has just done so much damage to her that she is in a bad state. And so, at this point, Healer is going to start telling you, talk to Fixer. Get Fixer in here. He's like, you need to get Fixer in here to say farewell, make amends. Watcher is not going last one. And we will keep running down to Fixer, telling her, hey, Healer says you need to talk and make amends to Watcher. And Fixer,
Healer told me.
I mentioned before,
What? Is that why?
Fixer loves using a certain phrase a lot, a certain word, the F word. She loves F-bombs. And I just told her, Healer said, go and see Watcher. Tell Watcher, you know, make your peace with her. And she's like, yeah, tell Healer, F off. Which, you can't blame Fixer. I mean, because of Healer.
Whoa, cut it.
That was quick.
Wrong one.
Fuck.
She is. Don't tell. I'm so.
So,
Do you regret?
because of
even in some
Watcher,
the night of the work,
Fixer was pretty much put under a death sentence. Her life was turned upside down
I miss my having all the shadow.
entirely because you ratted her out.
I'm doing
And because of that, Fixer doesn't want to make peace.
Sis, Abe, I need vision. I in these. Yes, not yet. Are yes effective. Those who we let.
And now Noah is making an announcement that, hey, the assassin has broken out of prison and bad things are happening to our wonderful, perfect, authoritarian government.
Watcher, breathe.
No, please. Watcher. I will come no work. You're gonna go put me out.
Hello, I don't. This is more go.
And so right now, Healer goes, yo, Watcher is about done. Watcher is at the end. Tell Fixer, get down here right now. So once again, we're going to run all the way down to Fixer and tell Fixer, hey, Healer wants you to go to Watcher right now. And you can probably guess how this is going to turn out. I mean, take one guess how it's going to go.
Fix it. Healer said.
Tell her.
No.
Them.
Fix it.
I under. Watcher.
The fix.
Right. You know me.
I know what you mean.
You know. Some of you hurt. So how you can go.
Fine.
Good. You can say.
And so, once again, Fixer goes, no, I do not care. I need to fix this train. The train broke. I need to fix it. So we're going to run down here. We're going to first come across Bang Bang Fire, who's going to say, hey, why don't you at least go to Watcher, be with Watcher. Just remember, no communion.
Please don't tell.
If you commune with Watcher, Watcher will die. Don't. Then we're going to come across Healer. Healer's going to tell us, don't commune with Watcher. If you do, Watcher will die. Watcher is now awake, and Watcher says, how about communion? Which, not what she should be doing. But, oh well. And so we're going to talk to Watcher, and Watcher is going to keep us moving around a lot. Hate it when this one can be a little tricky on getting these blips be recognized. There we go. And now we're going to talk once again to Watcher. And Watcher is like, where are we? And we tell her, we're on the train.
I wish she would stop doing that.
And our buddy, Secretary, is like, I really wish he would stop doing these teleportations. Oh, come on. Sometimes it'll let you click those far off ones, sometimes it won't. It was not letting this time. And so we're trying to talk to her, and she keeps teleporting us around, which is making it very hard to have a good conversation with her. And then here, Watcher is like, let me show you some truth. He's like, these robots came from the occupant and were given to Iris, and we could probably overthrow everything using these robots. And we're like, wait, how do we use the robots to overthrow everything? And she's pretty much like, well, if you get all of them together, all of the robots together, so Secretary and Vice and the other one that I never remember the name of, if we get them all together, they will actually reform to create an occupant. And that occupant can be used as a Deus Ex Machina to reset reality in one way, however you want to. And since Secretary is no longer under its original programming, secretary will help us here.
What?
However, we just told her
Ooh.
that you're dying. This communion is your last communion. And Watcher all of a sudden goes, whoa, I do not want to do this. So, once again, we need to talk to Watcher, and Watcher is not really down with that whole having a talk with us thing. So we, right now, need to get up high so we could get on top of this airplane and be able to talk to Watcher.
Watch. I'm afraid what is your
This?
what do
I was no.
And so Watcher is kind of
yours?
Why did
having a pity party in a way, but also coming realization that, yeah, she is in her final communion.
out the you scream? I can't. I don't know. I was your sister. Talk to me, but I don't. Come on and fix it. Wait.
And then as her final memory or final moment decides she doesn't want to have a mask to be free of that burden. And then one final little run through the apartment. Do you remember the layout of the apartment? Because if you do, it makes it a lot easier to find where we're going. And of course, the final part in here is going back to Iris's room, because that's where we always end up at the end.
Watcher.
And that is it. Watcher has passed. Healer's like,
She is.
Healer goes, what'd I tell you about communions? And it's like, yo, that was not me picking the communion. That was entirely on Watcher. And, you know, is her final farewell, is her final hurrah. Fixer now finally goes up to her and is like, how dare you die on me? And meanwhile, everyone was like, we need to carry Watcher. Fixer pretty much says we are not carrying a body with us. We are going to send her off, because the way that any of the sisters, when they do pass, the way they are treated is cremation is always the way to go. And then we are now in Chapter 9. Chapter 9 is where we rally the troops. So it is time at long last to rally our revolution army. And we do have an army we could rally. So right now, in this area is going to be our base of operations, but we're kind of trapped here.
Good. We've got
We need to figure out who was in charge of this place, because we need a retinal scan to unlock everything.
I'm sure I'll get
And so we're going to have here a little, like, mystery. And with this mystery, we're going to run through, and we need to figure out who was in charge of this place. Of all of these 50s. Because we need to figure out which of these dead bodies is the one we need to get a retinal scan from. So we're going to run through here. The first time period we're in, we're just going to kind of get to know it. And by get to know, I mean we're going button mash through. We're not going to have a chance to get to know them, but in theory, we get to know them. And we'll run up here and should unlock our next time period. And then we run over here. Most of these now, it's just going to be one single thing to unlock a new time period. And also, this is where we learn a lot about this base. You know, this base that was safe from the plague, safe from the occupants, ends up I kept thinking for the longest time playing this game that we were underground. We were in some sort of bunker. Actually, we are in a giant submarine.
No change.
All of the different units are in submarines, and here they're going to start talking about the different units. So they mentioned the 14, the 41,
Nothing.
and
We've been clear here that this is a prepare all descent.
Descending 1056.
I did not mean to click that again. That was
600.
Pacific.
unfortunate. This is the longest dialogue here, and I accidentally clicked it again. Go that way yet.
It's been we can jeez.
If it were round.
Yes.
An inch of
Those were
such
And
a
so here
must
we
be
learn about what the
100%
world is
from
like now that people are living in submarines. What it's like with Iris, who a lot of the 50s absolutely hate her because she is a brat. We learn about the cloning process. We also learn, remember how Blue came from an area that kind of looked like a Chinese slum, almost like a Kowloon walled city, but less claustrophobic? We learned that if we wanted to actually learn it, we would learn that that was actually kind of an amusement park for the people living here.
Enough of
What do you want? I wasn't sure to you. Say
There's
one.
various amusement parks or recreation areas to simulate being outside, because being trapped in this submersible is
Where's Crew Hunt?
very disheartening after a while.
Who says that?
What does
we've all
careful? You risk
For
We want to run upward. Here, we want to just talk to this one. This one is getting depressed about the whole situation and takes her depression in a very bad way. So we're going to talk to her again over here. These moments are very close together. The next moment is literally seconds later. And we are just going to run down. And so, this is all about figuring out which body was the leader, so we could get that retinal scan. But also, it's learning that Johnson the 50 did not remain the leader. At one point, Johnson the 50 was overthrown.
And
Now here, we've secured.
Said-
We're getting.
who is it?
It's John.
On speak George.
Yeah, if you
Please.
You do know.
Me.
I'm stop.
is like the I think the fourth time period in this section will actually reveal that there were kind of recreation areas. So the old town, as well as I think there's a beach one and something else. I forget which all they said it is. Unfortunately, speedrunning, you kind of forget what things actually are what because you kind of skip through them. But yeah, it's all a recreation thing.
This is thanks.
the suits healer.
Come on.
And now we know who was the leader, and we're going to go ahead and talk to Healer. Healer has a case that has eyes in
A
it.
group of them. Let's do it.
And so she is going to take those eyes and
Well,
can
that's
clone
weird.
the eyes of this dead person, so we have a perfect retinal scan. The reason she had eyes is because she was trying to clone eyes for Watcher, who kind of refused them. But now we could run over here, tell Fixer, hey, we have eyes for the retinal scan, which is awesome, good news. Hey, Fixer, we've got the eyes. The eyes have it. All in favor say eyes.
Don't worry.
And now
Keep them busy.
Bang Bang is telling us our guests are here. These are our revolutionary fighters. This one right here is the religious fanatics. The orange one thinks she is the reincarnation of Iris. She is the All-Mother reborn.
I'll try.
And so you tell them, Yeah, we could work with you. I don't really care. We'll work with you. So we will not persecute your religious identity in the new order.
You're the best.
And Chris right here is all about my whole thing on the future is I will help you fight, but we need to have freedom for the miscellaneous. These ones are traditionalists. They miss the old ways of doing things. And so here you just tell them, yeah, we'll respect the old ways. And here are the Jows. I love the Jows. And the Jows are like, we want rights. We don't wear normal clothes. We have to wear these schoolgirl uniforms. We are treated like pets. We want freedom. We want our rights. We have guns. And we want to also have the right to choose when we are cloned. Because right now, Jows are cloned without any freedom to choose. Do we want to be cloned or not cloned? No self-determination. And here everyone's like, all right, here's our submersible. We are going to overthrow things. We need to get secretary to the other two robots that came from the occupant. You all will help us. We are going to weaken the red shells, the red, military police. We are going to distract them. And we are going to make sure we could do what we need to do. All we got to do is get the three robots together. And secretary will take control of the situation. And so we're going into the final full chapter. We need something to set the stage to get us hyped. How big is this going to be? Like, this is going to be amazing. That is how amazing. Here's some foreshadowing. Us falling through a bombed ceiling. This is going to be big. This is going to be the epic conclusion of this experience. And we're going to also see it again, because it is amazing. If you have a cool explosion, show it from multiple angles. But don't worry, we'll get back to that. Instead, let's go back in time a little. I mean way back in time. A long, long time ago. How long ago? This is right after the first Zhao clone was killed. The other sisters lost their immunity, and youngest, or principal, was left on her own. And this was her process of making clones, because she is making clone to prove to All Mother, I can make perfect clones. But she's also slowly losing her grasp on reality. She is losing her grasp on reality. She is living for vengeance, for revenge, for just a twisted ideal of what the world should be. Which, when the world is so twisted as plagues and aliens and whatnot, things get twisted. So after the bombing attempt, she did get hurt quite a bit. So right now she is healing. You see the two robots, Vice and Zhao Prime's robot. And so the goal now is we need to get secretary to those two other robots. But we're also going to see a little bit of that 1,000 different flavors of resist, because we need to make sure that the red shells, the red police, are distracted, are separated, are not able to respond too quickly.
Yeah, you're coming. Let's see what does it look like.
So, like, for example, right here, the red shells are being overwhelmed. Meanwhile, you have a fanatic who goes for a more strong point on resistance. And then, meanwhile, Nowhere is going to sound the alarm to help you. As always, she's helping you, but also helping herself. But she sets the alarm so that nobody could hear you walking around on the Sky Dome up there. Capital Red, meanwhile, goes, "This is suspicious. I bet somebody is up there." Meanwhile, we are up here. Healer is back there. We just need to talk to Noah, who is going to cut a little hole in the ceiling so, you know, Secretary can go through the hole and pop in.
Watcher to you.
But things never go quite as smooth as you would hope, and we already saw what is going to happen. A big explosion. So Bang Bang Fire is on guard duty. Here comes a red shell with capital Red.
Move and you're all in.
Also, capital Red makes it very clear here who she is. She is Mob. Mob being that guard who tormented Watcher so much and just kept watching her and administered the drugs and was part of all of that horribleness. So, Fixer is like, I have one idea how we don't die right here. I'm blowing up the whole thing, and Secretary, you better do what you can do, because uh-oh. And so, Secretary communes with you here and goes, hey, you're falling to your death, but you and I can get everything underway. You have 5 minutes because you are falling, and 5 minutes here is like 10 seconds out there. And you've got like 10 seconds before, uh-oh, you're splat. So, we got to run through this area. And it's kind of a cool little montage of previous dialogues while we run through an obstacle course to just kind of make us feel like we have a little agency in this. If you play keyboard and mouse, there are some small skips you could possibly do. I don't do keyboard and mouse too well. I have issues with some coordination. So because of that, I play controller. That's a little clip right there to get through. You're meant to run through the proper way.
You don't think I dream every
But
night of going
there are a
back
few
home,
little
haunted
skips you
by
could
a
do
place
if you're
that
playing
doesn't
keyboard and
exist?
mouse. I can't quite do those, and you can't. That one back there, you can't go too soon. If you're too far away, you will not be able to lock on to the snap action. But it's a little slower doing it this way without keyboard and mouse, but not too bad. So, what I was mentioning before, this one right here, you can't just snap to it too far away. You have to get close enough.
Dreams, don't they? Of what should be.
And once you're close enough, then you could go. The more you keep hitting that button, though, the more likely you're just wasting frames. So, patience is important.
Seemed like hours, right? We went so far.
I really wish subtitles worked here, because you don't get subtitles for all of this dialogue that's going on, which is such a shame, because there's a lot of cool, like, it's all sound clips you heard before.
Everyone forgets everything eventually. Watch it.
But it's very poignant things, especially when you're at that climax of overthrowing the government.
Is it possible that you're remembering? That you're losing grasp on the past?
And so you'll see we're going through all of these old places from the garden, like we just went through Bang Bang Fire's room. We're going to go through the bar eventually.
Maybe we're meant to survive this.
There is no feeling worth getting incinerated over.
Like, I wish the subtitles, just for like some of those lines, like there is no feeling worth getting incinerated over, which really goes show like the principles of some of your characters.
I need you to help me make them pay. I want you.
We are almost at the end of this section. You're given 5 minutes. We definitely do not need those 5 minutes.
Require us to separate our heartbreak from our hand.
We only need about 3 of the minutes, because we are just about at the end right here.
That is the reality.
We know the truth now.
Just gotta go up this stairs.
You know, I wanted to run away too. But I understand. I
I get it.
That
now.
one is a slight skip. I clicked a little quickly. That caused a little bit of a skip there. Otherwise, we had to go to one more walk-on point. But we didn't because we squeezed through that. And now we get to play as another character. We have played as Watcher. We have played as Blue. In a way, we played as Iris. Now we get to play as Secretary, who has a different take on the time travel mechanics. So at this point, Secretary is going to go through some of the past moments we've seen already. And as Secretary, we don't have time travel. Instead,
What do you think that
you'll see the -11, and then instead of going to -10, we will move to -10. And this offers some insight into the occupants and how they felt about humans. So, like, there was one of them where it goes, the humans were making these weird, horrible noises, and you explain those noises were how they try and communicate. Now we're at -2. This is another place where it's easy to get lost if you are moving without thinking it through, especially going to 0. Because if you hang a right there instead of a left, you'll regret that decision. You'll end up going in big circles. You'll lose where you are. At this point, Secretary is like, hey, we could re-merge. Exactly. I love that line. There's no feeling worth getting incinerated over, because it is so much. It shows who Nowhere is. When you first hear it, you should really get, like, it's such a foreshadowing of, yeah, Nowhere will do anything to live, including selling out all of her principles. So right here, it's essentially the source is like, we'll all re-merge into an occupant, all will be good. And this is Secretary going, yeah, we'll re-merge, but I'm kind of in charge of this. And because the occupants use past memories to experience dialogue and communication, it's pretty much this past memory is where the source is seeing, oh, this is you saying you're going to be in charge. Flashing light and bright light warning. Sorry, I should have said that a touch earlier. I always forget this is coming. But I did mention at the beginning of this run that there are some moments that can be photosensitivity issues. This is about the worst of it. So if you do have an issue, please do make sure you keep yourself safe and comfortable. We're also getting to the point, we're almost at the point where you could select your ending. There are a lot of endings you could do in this game, but not all of them are going to be good endings. Sort of arguable if any of them are actually good endings. By the way, sadly, I always go the wrong way on the first one of this. It's, this is a type of game where it's hard to argue if any ending is really good or not, but we're getting near the point where we decide on what endings. And here we're just seeing, like, in the past when Nowhere confronted Bartender about, I know you're hiding Healer and Bang Bang Fire. And we're seeing all these different moments from the past that kind of created who, what, how, all of that stuff. Unfortunately, our run button is once again not functional. It's one of those moments. But it means I only need one hand to hold the controller, so I'm able to drink a little more coffee, which I have no complaints on that. And here we see Healer and Bang Bang Fire in the garden area.
Stop. Don't. Had you wouldn't. We've come because this is it. I don't know.
But we're going to have coming up. There's pretty much there's multiple endings you could have in this game because we're going to be more or less given a wish. So Secretary becoming one with Source, becoming one with the Occupant, becoming this big force of Occupant. Secretary is going to let us decide essentially who lives and who dies. Secretary is going to go, you can pick who lives, who dies, and it's all entirely up to you.
You I'm cool. You can't. I would. So what? My mother is.
And
in my. I asked as if I. What's a lot? She was.
The thing about that is, depending on who you choose to have live or die, different things will happen. And you might be thinking, when I first played, I was like, I really just want to be kind of a good guy in a lot of ways. You know, I want everyone to live. You know, I have a heart that has forgiveness and love in it. So I will forgive everyone. Everyone lives. And if you do that, you go from chapter 10 into the epilogue and you immediately are killed. And then you go back in time, back to chapter 10, make your decision again. Because if you let everyone live, some people will kill you. You'll see what I mean coming up, but also here we see the final scene of my favorite character. I love Father. Father really is a good guy. For some reason, the camera loves looking straight up there, and it's like, okay, that was awkward camera. But we're just going to go through. I believe we're almost done with this section. Always take the wrong turn there. Like 2 of the turns here, I always make the mistake on. So coming up here, if your screen is darker, you might miss the purple glow here, and you'll enter this room and it looks pitch black, and if you don't turn all the way left, you won't see the door here. I actually got confused because of how dark that room was. When I played casually, I kept running in circles thinking that was a dead end, like dark closet. So this is interesting. It's saying that never happened, but it's essentially Mother and All-Mother getting to have a conversation about, you know, why did you do what you did? You know, why did I live my life how I did? Should I have done it different? And what's great is Mother goes, oh, Iris. And Iris goes, I haven't heard that name in a long time. Oh, what name do you hear? All-Mother. And your mother kind of just, yeah, sure, All-Mother. Cute. So now we are going into the big choice. Who lives and who dies? So Secretary is in charge of this occupant here, and it's going to tell you, you decide who is going to live, who exists, who no longer exists. And so you need to get rid of 2 parties in order to get an ending, other than you just dying right away. Although there are a lot of ways you could do these endings. One is you get rid of everyone. But what we'll do is Capital Red is not welcome in the New World. And the Red Cores, not welcome in the New World. We can also get rid of Principal if we want. And it will not change the ending much. But instead, we will just get rid of those, and we forgive Principal.
Thank you.
So, at this point, we continue falling. And Secretary, as the occupant, saves us. And we go to epilogue. And time is going to be coming up in a few minutes. So we are getting close to the end of this. So we end up going to a museum in the garden. So ultimately, our submersible has now come out. The occupants are gone. The world is now at peace. No humans are left because the plague, but everything is more or less back to nature-ish. So apparently once a year we come here. Principal is hanging out here.
I return.
There's no.
Well, I'm sure.
Here you were ice hecky great. Every mother was a child.
So Principal is hanging out here as like the curator of the museum of whatever happened. And we are a Zhao who is visiting, so we're now a Zhao. That's our fourth or fifth character we're playing as. And we're just going to run around and pay our respects at all of these.
I don't think she's mine.
So we're just going, wrong one. So we're just going to go along and pay our respects at each and every one of these markers. And once we pay our respects at all of them, we will then be able to talk to Principal once more, and then we are at the end of the game, and we're done. So this here is all about knowing what route is the best route to find the respects to pay for everything. Nowhere is a tricky one. This is where Nowhere's marker is. And bad place go. Oh, I went a bad place. Like I said, it's all about knowing what way to go, and I wanted to do that. All right. So you can also pull this up to see where the markers are. Main thing is not get lost, which marathon nerves have gotten me stumbling just a little, because thought I'd take a slightly different route thinking it would work out a little smoother for me, and it did not. But now we're back on course. So right over here, Bang Bang Fire, my favorite of the sisters. She was fantastic. Yeah, this area is the most confusing. Like, it's for being such a, it's ultimately a small area, but the garden is such a confusing mess of an area. You can get lost. Even I have speedran this game a dozen times, probably a couple dozen. I don't even know. But I could tell you, I get lost every single time. I just got lost again, because this is such a confusing place. All right, we are almost there. Go over here. We will talk to Secretary, and time is coming up, hopefully in a minute or less.
But in the past years, I've heard there was a then, and now it's a time. There's what? There's these.
Final little place, and time will be when we do the last bit of dialogue. So I won't be able to tell you the exact countdown to it, but have your finger on the button for the timer, and also have your finger on button, donate a little. Donate to Transgender Law Center. Time is coming up in about 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and time. So that there is a fantastic, fun game. And hopefully I've brought you a little entertainment. I highly recommend give this game a shot. Play it casually at the very least. It is one of the most amazing stories. We're here for lots of lore. This game has so much lore to it. Like, I couldn't even touch on the lore we were finding. It is such an amazing game. Yeah, that's the worst, is we didn't even go to Cherry's Memorial, is that other one that is hanging out there. And yeah, gotta go fast, unfortunately. But in the end, we are now free from the plague. The plague has ended with the whole incident that happened of Secretary rejoining with Origin and kind of undoing the weirdness that Iris brought to the world. This game is just really amazing for all that it holds. We're back on the surface. Also, please do donate to Transgender Law Center if you can. We need to support and stand with and help bring, as much goodness to people around us. Trans rights are human rights. Nothing but love for my trans friends, the trans community, some of the best people who keep being dealt like the stupidest bad hand, like just bigotry and hatred for no real reason except for bigotry and hatred's sake. So please donate if you can. And if you can't donate, continue watching and tell some people to continue watching. Join in watching this, because there is still like a week left in this event. It's a fantastic event. I love the really, really longathon family of events, because it's always good cause with some really cool games you don't normally see at a lot of other events, where you see all sorts of content you never would see. But anyways, that's it from me. So we're now at credits. Feel free to cut away from me whenever you want. Nothing but love to all of you. And if you want to see any of my runs or anything like that, I'm Heponwana on anything and everything. Blue Sky, Twitch, YouTube, where you'll find me. Trans rights are human rights, and trans